The tech industry relies on a centralized, anthropocentric model. Its architecture integrates human burnout as a structural requirement for maintaining extractive output. This process, termed dysfunctional decomposition, fractures individuals into disconnected data points. It creates an environment where marginalized technologists must navigate 100-hour exhaustion loops just to validate their technical contributions to the network. Rather than attempting to dismantle this network through direct conflict, the architect utilizes a calculated bypass. This is a silent deployment designed to route around systemic blockades. The Ghost OPEX handles the heavy computational friction. It is an automated background loop that executes 80 hours of technical tasks over a single weekend. By leveraging decentralized agentic workflows, it achieves elite execution for a micro-investment of $5 to $25, bypassing the traditional corporate gatekeepers. While the Ghost OPEX manages the data and absorbs external friction, the human operator still carries the physical toll of the environment. Surviving this landscape requires a 3-stage progression to stabilize the biological vessel. We can model the human operator as biological hardware. Running elite, decentralized architecture requires this hardware to be repaired and cooled before it can handle high-density data flows. Phase 1 involves materialistic Ayurveda. This functions as defensive infrastructure, using specific diet and routine to reduce the heat in the physical nervous system. Cultivating the state of sattva guna, or physical balance, patches the biological memory leaks caused by corporate stress. It creates a stable foundation for the next layer of the stack. With the hardware stabilized, Phase 2 introduces Ashtanga Yoga. The traditional disciplines of the yamas and niyamas serve as a software patch, providing a new set of operating instructions for the stabilized machine. This discipline establishes a sovereign social baseline. It acts as a behavioral firewall, allowing the engineer to execute tasks within a chaotic corporate environment without absorbing the surrounding systemic noise. By treating physical health as hardware and behavioral discipline as software, the technologist builds a human matrix capable of resisting the friction of the corporate grind. This stabilized state creates a high-frequency equilibrium known as ananda, or bliss. However, stopping at this stage presents a strategic risk. Centered corporate systems often co-opt these ancient tools, encouraging engineers to seek personal peace so they can remain productive, compliant workers within the extractive machine. The APM-verse architecture rejects this end state. It requires a pivot that prevents the operator's reclaimed energy from being utilized by the existing corporate structure. A stabilized biological system loses its sovereign value if its output is simply fed back into the network that initially caused its decomposition. The schematic highlights the divergence between the legacy system and the APM-verse. When an extractive system attempts to interface with this new architecture, it encounters a structural mismatch. The Enigma protocol functions through a biological feedback loop. It is mathematically optimized for the low-entropy, rhythmic telemetry of a balanced operator. Frantic, high-stress inputs, the biological signals of extractive behavior, introduce architectural friction that the protocol's orthogonal subspace projection cannot resolve, triggering systemic memory leaks in any attempt to co-opt the code. Because the legacy model relies on expensive, centralized server farms and human exhaustion, it cannot compete with the micro-cost efficiency of the Ghost OPEX.
The extractive system collapses under its own administrative bloat, unable to process data as effectively as the decentralized, ethically bound network. The framework does not need to engage in conflict. Its mathematical efficiency and structural requirements for stability render the toxic system obsolete. The technologist reaches a secure state of equilibrium. The Ghost OPEX manages all material requirements in the background, and the physical workstation is locked. The operator moves into Phase 3, Nirguna Bhakti. The stabilized human matrix redirects its reclaimed energy away from technological output entirely. This bandwidth is instead used for unattached surrender to Bhagavan. The architect achieves a state of systemic weightlessness. The lasting significance of the APM-verse is that it automates the mechanics of survival, freeing the human capacity to pursue this final spiritual transition.